I think that, is it cool in here? I think it just shut off, and maybe we'll shut them off just for a little while. We should have seating arrangements. For those who like warm and want a cooler, sit in the front. For those who want it warmer, sit in the back. That would be the only way to permanently resolve it, but we'll just shut it down for a little while. We'll turn it back up later. Anyway, it is May, that month of season changes, which is why we never quite know what to do with the temperature in here. We're continuing our honoring of the divine feminine. It's part of the creative process. And the thing we're going to talk about today as part of that creative process is the C word that strikes terror into many people. Change. Change. How do you feel about change? Some people fear it, and some people crave it. And those two are usually married to each other. Louise Penny, my favorite author, in her book, Bury Your Dead, said, some people think change is what will save them, and some people think the enemy is change. What do you think about change? Do you think it's going to save you, or it's the enemy? Well, it's the only constant in life. It's the only constant in life is change. And especially in Green Valley, we know that, don't we? Aren't our bodies starting to change? Most of you know Edwin Gaines. She's one of my favorite Unity ministers. And she used to get up there and say, I have body parts that are not in my original position. And that kind of says it all in Green Valley, doesn't it? The Kabbalion writes about becoming and changing. Nothing stands still. Everything is being born, growing, dying. The very instant a thing reaches its height, it begins to decline. The law of rhythm is in constant operation. There is no fixed reality. Nothing endures but change. And as the Borg would say, resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. Now I'm a Gemini, so I love change, and I'm lucky to be married to someone who goes with change easily as well. Most people don't like change because they feel totally out of control if change is thrust on them. As a matter of fact, I was driving around the other day and there was a woman driving with a license plate, and her license plate said, control. Ooh, does she have it wrong? Because I think that whole fear that people have is that change might be thrust on me without knowing, without being in control, and that feels uncomfortable, and it feels vulnerable. Show me somebody who wants control, and I'll show you someone who's in fear. It's as simple as that. A wonderful Unity book that I highly recommend if you're in the process of any kind of change is Finding Yourself in Transition by the Reverend Robert Brummett, one of my favorite instructors up at Unity Village. And he talks about the three phases of change. You can't get by without any one of those three. The first one is an ending. Something has to end for change. Something has to be let go of. Something has to change. And the second one is that void, where you don't know what's going to happen. What's to be has not arrived yet. You have no idea. You're in that place of void. And then the next is the new beginning. Oh, finally now, something new is coming out of this. And you can't leave any one of those phases out. We'd like to leave that void out, wouldn't we? Some of you might want to leave the ending out. But all three are part of the process of change. Now, the ending can feel like loss. It can feel that way, and we honor those feelings. But if you're on the spiritual path, it helps because we know there is no such thing as lost. Things are just changing. We still grieve when we lose, especially someone we love. But the continuation of life is always there. And with God, there is no loss, even though sometimes it feels that way. Well, then there's the void. You know what I call the void? When I'm all revved up and I've got nowhere to go. Anybody relate to that? Boy, I can feel it. I can just feel it. But we just can't figure out what to do with it all. I feel like I need to be somewhere else doing something else, but I don't know what yet. I feel that way sometimes in life, especially being a Gemini. What once worked for you doesn't work anymore. But it's not time yet. Not time yet. And that's where we need patience. and trust. And when we're in the void, I always say that's where metaphysics has to give way to mysticism. Surrender works better than making it happen when you're in the void. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them when you're in that void. And you don't have to know how it's going to happen. You don't have to know what it's going to happen. But you do know every next step as it comes along. And if you're praying for guidance and not getting any guidance, you know what that means? Not time yet. Not time yet. When it's time, you will get the promptings and you will know. But oh, the patience, and that's not one of my best traits. Patience and trust. The book of Genesis tells us the world was created out of that void. So a void is a wonderful thing. It's percolating. Now the earth was a formless void. There was darkness over the deep, and God's Spirit hovered over the water. It just hovered. Didn't move, it was just hovering. Doesn't your life feel that way sometimes? I'm just hovering here, people. I don't know what else to do. I'm just hovering here. Patience, trust. Oh, the T word, the P word, patience and trust. Well, the planet is shifting. Seems like it's hovering, but it is shifting, and we've crossed the Rubicon. There's a point of no return. We can't go back. We just have to be patient until shift happens. We just have to be patient. And we have helpers of both the gods and the goddesses as symbolic gods and goddesses of change. I love the Hindu Brahma. There are 3 aspects to the Hindu Brahma that are almost the same as Robert Brumman's 3 phases of change. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the preserver, and Shiva is the destroyer. All 3 are gods. The Hindus worship Shiva, he that destroys but also creates. And there are thousands of temples dedicated to Shiva, the god of destruction, the Lord of the dance. They call him the Lord of the dance, the movement and the rhythm of change. Now metaphysically, if we look at that destroyer, metaphysically it's not so scary. We see Shiva, the ending or the destroyer, as destroying our imperfections to ensure our spiritual progress. Destroying our illusions, desires, and ignorance. Destroying our negative nature so we can awaken. That doesn't sound quite so bad now, does it? Shiva destroys our old memories so that we can move on with the movement of time. And when we're willing to become transformed into light and wisdom without any inner conflict, he destroys death itself. That doesn't sound so bad now, does it? Sounds almost necessary. Let's compare Shiva to Kali, the Hindu goddess. This is funny. The Hindu goddess of both death, time, and doomsday, as well as the goddess of motherly love, creativity, and fertility. Go figure. Let me repeat that in case you didn't catch that. The goddess of death, time, and doomsday, as well as the goddess of motherly love, creativity, and fertility. Maybe that's when some people have mother issues. They all kind of go together. She is most often represented in art as a fearful fighting figure with a necklace of heads, a skirt of arms, and a lolling tongue, and a knife dripping with blood. Oh. Yet she's one of the most popular goddesses in India. One of the most popular goddesses, go figure. They understand there the need for change, the need for that ending. Kali is known for destroying ignorance as she helps those who strive for knowledge of God. In Arizona, the Navajo have the changing woman. And she's quite beautiful, the changing woman. You see her in the cycles of the seasons. She changes continuously but never dies. Old woman in the winter. In the spring, she's a young woman again. The cycle of life. Birth, maturing, growing old, and dying. And reborn in the spring. Changing woman. So what makes you feel safe during change? what makes you feel safe? I asked Michael that one time. He probably don't even remember this anymore. I asked him, what makes you feel safe during change? And he said, absolutely nothing in the outer. Absolutely nothing out there will make you feel safe in the outer, if that's where you're looking for help. The realization of your unity with God will make you feel safe. So would you repeat with me? United with God, I am safe through change. Together. United with God, I am safe through change. One more time. United with God, I am safe through change. Say it till you believe it. Fake it till you make it. That's the only thing that's going to take those fears away. If you don't like that one, go to the Muppets. You know, the Muppets are where I go for all great lessons. They always say it's easy to believe in everyone else around you, but at some point you've got to believe in yourself. Now they're talking about your higher self, not the egoic self. I don't trust her anymore. But the higher self, you've got to believe in that part of you that knows. Meanwhile, until you arrive there, there's some tools that we have. I've broken them down into five tools. Number one, go beyond non-resistance and make peace with change. Go beyond not resisting. Make peace. We resist only what we don't understand, and suffering is the resistance to change. In Green Valley, we're not as young as we used to be. I've had to make peace with that. It's kind of like I love the old story, the caterpillar that's looking up at this butterfly flitting around, and the caterpillar says, they're never going to get me up in one of those contraptions. And he's right, they're not going to do it, but you can. Not about they're going to do it to me, you can do it. So the second tool is to ask for guidance in that place of ending and void. Ask for guidance, it will come. When it's time, that's the key word. When it's time, it'll come. I remember literally going outside in the middle of the night in the rain, crying in the rain that it wasn't happening soon enough, that I wasn't getting that guidance. What am I to do? It just wasn't time. Of course I wasn't getting any guidance. I was supposed to be right where I was, doing what I was, until it was time. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck forever in that void, but patience and trust. And along with that, the third thing is to trust the divine presence. Not what's happening, but the divine presence in that void. If you're anxious or fearful, you're just not trusting the flow of life. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason you're there yet. There's a blessing there, whatever it is. So repeat once again. United with God, I am safe through change. Together. United with God, I am safe through change. And then add, united with God, I am provided for. Together. United with God, I am provided for. And then add, united with God, I am guided through change. Together. United with God, I am guided through change. And you can just add on however many of those that you need. Well, the fourth thing is following the flow. I'm a big one about the flow. You know here at church, if something's not flowing, I don't do it. If it's not flowing and you're having to push, it's not going to work. It's got to be in the flow. And I love being near the Tucson airport. It always reminds me, because I always seem to end up living in cities where you can't get there from here, you have to go somewhere else first. And if you ever tried to get a ticket out of here almost anywhere, you can't get there from here. You've got to go to Phoenix first, or LA first, or Denver. Can't get there from here. Trust the flow. If you want to get here and the flow seems to be taking you there, trust that there's going to be a curve at some point to take you back where you're desiring to go. But it's just got to go someplace else first, and that's because of the next one, which you're not going to like at all. If you have tomatoes in your hand, please put them down while I say this one. Be willing to change along with the change. Take a breath. Be willing to change along with the change. Don't pray to change the world. Pray to change your consciousness. And the outer will change. I double dog dare you, I guarantee it. The Course in Miracles says, there is no point in trying to change the world. It's incapable of change because it's merely an effect of the law of cause and effect. It's an effect. But there is indeed a point in changing your thoughts about the world. Here you are changing the cause. The effect will change automatically. And I know that's a hard one to accept, but it's true and it works. I double dog dare you. What in you needs to change right now for your life to change? And if you're still on the planet, I always say I'm still here. That means I've still got some work to do, or I wouldn't be here anymore. What in you needs to change? And all prophecies that talk about the end of times talk about a big change where we go from war and fighting to peace and love. But I'm a fan of Greg Braden with his book, Isaiah Effect, where instead of one time following another, he believes there'll be a split. That some will choose to stay in duality. Not forever. Nobody stays there forever. Not time yet for them. And others will choose to go on into the realm of oneness and light. It's a choice. We make it every day. Do I want to stay in duality, fighting and resisting the world? Or do I want to go into that place of knowing my unity with God, away from the struggle, away from the fighting, and into the light of the divine? And one thing, whether you see it one way or the other, none of us really know what's going to happen. Whichever way you believe, it's okay. But one thing we all can agree on. You can't make it happen. Isn't that the truth? Can't make it happen. Oh, us metaphysicians do not rest and relax very well. We've been taught we can make things happen in this world. Yeah, we can. But I can't tell you how many things I've made happen that I've been stuck in later. Be careful what you pray for kind of things. That's when we have to do the mystical path of surrender. Prayer and meditation, falling into grace, and allowing the grace to move you through it. Our new book study in June 19th, I think is when we're starting, is called Falling into Grace. I'm so looking forward to that book. There is no struggle or effort. There's no forcing it. You fall into grace, you relax. So how do you know when you're there? Well, if you think you are, you probably aren't. But how do you know when you're there? The wonderful book, The Trust Frequency by Connie Baxter Marlowe. She says it happens spontaneously. When trust replaces fear, ease replaces struggle, serenity replaces tension, generosity replaces hoarding, abundance replaces scarcity, and unity replaces separation. Change is going to come. You just got to go with it. Patience and trust. Let us pray. We just breathe in and breathe it out. Let the fear go. Change is a good thing, taking us where we need to be. And yes, we can't always get there from here, but we know we're going to get there. We are going to make it. For divine grace is the power of the presence within us that is guiding us there one step at a time. We may not understand it, but we have faith in it. And we simply have trust and patience in the flow to take us there. We pray this in the nature of the Christ, and so it is. So it truly is. Amen.